Hey guys, this is Bezmor, and today's video is kind of response to the comments on last video, or maybe it was 2 videos ago, but a lot of people had 2 comments that came up a lot. One was, could you do 1v1s, and the other one was, could you fight the new classes? Now, unfortunately, nobody on my server has the new classes at a gear level that I can fight fairly with, and to be honest, there's very few new classes at all that are PvPing at least. My guess is mostly because none of them have gear. But anyways, I did manage to get a couple of 1v1s in last week, sort of, as you'll see. And I thought I'd just commentate on them and post them in case you guys were interested. I understand that you've seen me kill this person maybe before, but, you know, nobody else really wants to fight me 1v1 because everyone else just ganks my ass. So anyways, I thought I'd post them up and just kind of give you the rundown. I think I fought them, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 times over the evening, and there's also 1 or 2 little fights in here with a Blade Master as well. So if you don't like fighting Venos, just skip to that part, though it's not very entertaining either, fighting a Blade Master. But anyways, against certain players, you'll notice that they follow really predictable patterns. Like, for example, in this case, this Veno has a tendency of doing a Purge into a debuff combo, and while the Purge doesn't proc solo stunning, the debuff does. And so I grabbed a lot of combos off the back end of that, and you'll notice it a lot as the fight goes on. But anyways, here was just a quick reaction play. I'm like, I can channel my Vector faster than they can channel a Nova, and I've already used my Wood Immune, so I was like, this Nova could actually be slightly problematic. So I went and interrupted it, and that bought me some time, I guess, to get closer to my Genie being back up, my Charm ticking, whatever. So as you see, it didn't really go all that well, and I was really rusty. This is actually like the first time I had 1v1 in a really long time. Oh, and I didn't have safety lock off. My bad. But anyways, the fights get better, I promise. So anyways, here I noticed that I got a cooldown for free, so I just immediately went to White Voodoo. I mean, if you're getting cooldowns and you don't want to just get accidentally blown up while you're getting those cooldowns out of people, just play it safe. Go to White and maybe pop a short Genie cooldown. Like if I use Wood Immune while they use an Iron Guard, the trade-off is huge, right? Because Wood Immune will be back up in 30 seconds, and Iron Guard will take you, 2 minutes. So there's a lot of risk assessment involved in playing Psychic because the class is really versatile. It's either damage but squishy or tanky but no damage, and it's just having things to supplement that, like Genie, especially in a situation like this when you're 1v1ing most classes other than Wizard, you have only one type of damage coming at you. So one thing you can do is to just completely have an archer do nothing to you, is have Metal Immune on and then just Psy-Will Metal Immune, and they literally cannot kill you even if they're Demon Spark IG'd, and you used 1 Spark and 1 short Genie cooldown and nullified their cooldown. So it's just things like that that you can be aware of that'll give you huge advantages. And when you're fighting a Mystic, a lot of times they'll try an Absorb Soul thing, and there's really nothing you can do against that. However, you can block using Wood Immune their guaranteed crit, because when they use Lucky Break, and things like that, and you can save your Wood Immune for like after they've done an Absorb Soul combo. And so like maybe if they're not trying to Charm Bypass you or anything stupid like that, then you can just let them do some damage, and then when they go for the all-in by doing whatever it is, whether it's Spark or using Genie or whatever, you just pop your little cooldown and negate it. So anyways, I am one of the few people I know on PW that actually will build a Genie specifically to 1v1 people. Most people don't like doing that, and I think that's why Psychics are oftentimes considered OP, is that people are like, oh, well, I didn't have a Genie to block Soul of Stunning, or I didn't have Belief or Faith or whatever you want to call it, etc., etc. Oh, here's the 1v1 with the BM, by the way. But then it's really like, come on, if you're going to fight a Psychic, it's the one class in the game where like you absolutely must have the right Genie, because if you don't, you're just going to get stomped on. So here, this was me being moderately to severely cocky, primarily because you'll notice I'm fighting a Blade Master in Black Voodoo. That's not supposed to happen. Like if the BMs are even halfway decent, if you're fighting in black, you should just get stomped on within the first couple of rotations, because obviously you've got cooldowns and things that you can use to your advantage. But I'm fighting in black, which is doubly stupid because A, it means I'm squishy as all get out, but triply stupid because you'll notice the BM has a Spirit of Defense pot on or something. Like, they've got buffs at the very least. So like my ability to kill them in black is mediocre. Like I can do it, but I need at least 1 or 2 crits in the full chain of damage, and I need to have diminished vigor on them. And it probably helps if I have either Tide Spirit or Double Spark or something like that to amplify my damage. And yeah, I can kill through those buffs. But I mean, he came out here with all the buffs, and I was like, okay. I'll just fight anyways. And as you can see, straight up, that's what happens when you're in Black Voodoo. They get you down, Charm Bypass. There's really not much you can do against a Charm Bypass except not be a dumbass like me and actually use White Voodoo. And you'll see an example of that fight a little bit later. Now here, I wanted to troll the Vino a little bit. So I equipped a Purge Genie just cause I could. So the next couple rounds, I think I fight the Genie with the Vino with the Purge Genie equipped, which is a little bit a different aspect to it. But you'll notice it actually is better than my main Genie in some ways because I still have Absolute Domain, so I've got my Panic Mode button. I've got Nullify Poison for Wood Immune, which means I can still block all their offensive all-ins, etc., etc. I have Fortify if I really want to block a Lucky Scarab. And then I actually have 2 offensively viable Genie skills, which is something my primary Genie does not have. I don't have Extreme Poison, and I don't have Eruption Fist. And so if I had a 91 plus Genie, I would definitely put Extreme Poison on it, because, I mean, it makes your ability for a low Genie cost to all-in much better. A percent damage increase is great. So anyways, here was a really foolish call on my part. The Vino's just like, Demon Spark! And I was like, huh? So I just Wood Immuned it because I was like, well, I'm okay with trading 3 sparks for a 30-second Genie cooldown, like, that's fine with me. And then I got a Purify proc on the back end of it, so it's just like, yep, I'm just gonna chit over here, wait out the Demon Spark. And so at this point, the Spark is gone, and I'm total troll mode. I'm just like, I'm gonna sit in White Voodoo and throw Eruption Fist until it purges, or I kill you just because you play foolishly. So as you can see, there's the Purge, and there's the debuff. That's what I was talking about before. That combo always comes out in like the same order almost all the time. Like, you could probably make a running count through this video. Now this was new though, a very adaptive thing, and I was actually impressed. I was like, oh look, they did something different for once. A belief into a combat, an offensive attack while I'm in Black Voodoo is actually the one thing that can really, really hurt a Psychic. And getting ganked by a Sin simultaneously is pretty dang bad for a Psychic as well. Now, the thing is, it didn't quite work. As you can see, I got really low, but their Apoth ran out on the Vino, so they got sealed, and the Sin pieced out because he knew I was about to blow his face up. And anyways, I was at this point like, oh shoot, I'm not sure how this is going to go, because as long as the Vino still has buffs, and there's a Sin out there just gunning for me, even if it's a Sin that I can one-shot, I have to be really careful, because if the CC lines up correctly or something, I might just get destroyed. So here, I think the Vino actually misclicked her Genie and used the wrong skill, but it's kind of whatever, because I got a solo stunning, I went black, the Sin didn't appear to be coming back out, and I assumed at this point he's waiting for cooldown, so I just decided to go into a full offensive combo. I got turned into the pet, which is kind of annoying, but then the Purify proc gets me the release, which is awesome. And I was going to Vector, but then I procced Purify on them, so I couldn't Vector, and it's kind of lame. I also at this point realized I was kind of running low on Chi, so I was like, shoot, I need to spam more Spirit Blast. As you can see here, I thought about using Extreme Poison and just all-inning, because I'm kind of noticing that, like, I caught up in gear, I leveled all my cards, etc., since the last time I really had a fight with this person. And so now I'm much more better equipped to fight them, and here my Purge actually procced, believe it or not. And so I didn't even notice. It took me I think I didn't notice it for another like 15 seconds or something. I just kept fighting because I was like, no. But then I realized, oh look, they have no buffs, and I knew they've burned a lot of Chi in this fight, and I knew they had already used an Apoth cooldown earlier. When I got ganked by the Sin, so I was like, they literally have next to nothing left. Now here I got purged, unfortunately, because if I could have stayed in black, I would have probably finished the fight right there, but a belief cooldown gets used. So at this point in my head, I was like, no Apoth, no Genie, and no buffs. This is like the ideal situation. If you put diminished vigor on somebody, like that, or like, there we go. Yeah, I mean, this is like the best thing you could see, right? The enemy has no defensive buffs, making me, have problems. And then they have their Apoth cooldown because I guess they used Feral Concentration earlier. But at this point, now that I saw that, I was like, okay, they can't have anything left to survive. So here I just turn around and all in, despite the fact that I'm low. You see I'm hovering my Apoth, but I didn't immediately use it because I was like, they're kind of low and they have nothing left. And then I dropped mine because I knew they had nothing left. And so it's like at this point, if you can't stop me, you're just dead. So I dropped that, decided to deal with the Sin issue and pop 28k, except Dead Nerves is OP. And then I was like trying to chase them, and I thought maybe I'll just get in range for a stun since Tidal is up, and I used my Tide Winds or whatever it's called. And then I attempted to hit my button and rubber banded, or just wasn't barely in range or something. So then I was like, screw it, I'll go back to fighting the BM because that's more interesting anyways. And this time, unlike last time, I did not dick around in Black Voodoo. You'll be glad to know. So here we go, starting into the BM round 2, and this time I kind of realized, like, as I started this fight, I was like, oh, I don't have my Expel Genie. This might be a problem. But then I said to myself, oh, wait a minute, I have my Purge Genie, and he has buffs. Like, if I just tank him in white, and then purge him, eventually it'll become a self-buff versus self-buff fight, and when that happens, based on what I saw from my ability to actually last a decent amount of time in Black Voodoo in the previous fight, I was like, that'll be a pretty even fight, and that'll be interesting. So I was just like, you know what, I'll leave I'll stay in the fight and just leave the Purge Genie on and see what happens. So anyways, here, you'll notice I'm extremely unlucky because my Purge never ends up proccing. But there's some other things that'll happen in this fight that make it interesting. So here, as you can see, what's annoying about the BMs now is that when they use the right skill sequence, they don't run out of chi like they used to. It used to kind of be like, you know, if they use a heavy chi skill, especially HF, you're pretty much knowing that they're going to be building chi for a while. But their new skills just allow them to generate so much chi that there's really nothing you can do. They can CC you back to back to back to back to back to back to back for like 5 minutes straight and never run out of chi. As long as they keep using those two skills there, they'll probably never run out of chi. And not being able to count on them having low chi times is really risky, because that means if I go Black Voodoo and their Dragon Rise is up, I have to expect that it's going to be there. And I mean, it's only on like a 15-second cooldown or something ridiculous like that. So here, I actually did manage to get a soul of stunning in, so I decided to just go black and go ham. And I was going to try to use the Purge Genie skill, because if you get a Purge right after a soul of stunning, that's no marrow on a BM for like 10 seconds and I'm in black. Like, that's free kills. But he was out of Purge range when he got stunned, and I didn't want to waste the stun duration trying to get closer. So that was kind of a bummer. But like, playing with Eruption Fist is one of the highest gamble mode things you could do in the game, because like, if you do it at the perfect time and get a lucky purge, like say an archer just used immune to stuns or something, or a BM used will, and you purge them right after, then it's like, oh gosh, you just lost one spark basically for nothing, and I can stun you now and kill you. But as you can see, I should never gamble because I always lose. But anyways, I continued to go back to the same strategy and just, I'm going to keep purging, because I mean, eventually I'm going to get a purge, right? Or so I thought. But here, you can see the BM's use of constant fortify as opposed to the Vino, right? It just gives you so much power, because every time the Psychic puts up Soul of Stunning, and they're basically giving away a cooldown, you pop your Genie, and then boom. The Psychic is now yours to beat up on if you have Will Surge ready, or Apoth, or something like that. And I think that's probably, if you're trying to kill a Psychic that refuses to go black, you just drop your Apoth on top of a well-timed cooldown, or if you know that the Psychic has just all-in and failed at killing you, drop your Apoth and go ham, because if we don't have Chi, or, you know, we don't have Genie, or there's something that we've done that puts us at a disadvantage, you got that 2-minute cooldown that'll allow you to block stuns for 8 seconds, 12 seconds, depending on which Apoth you use, etc., etc., etc. So anyways, here, it got a little bit hairy. The BM got a pretty decent damage combo in, not the best, but pretty good. So I decided to just Psychic Will, and I'm like, I'm not really hurting for Chi, despite the fact that I'm getting taunted with the Demon Mozun taunt a fair amount. But as you can see, in White Voodoo, it's not really easy for a BM to kill you. Granted, he doesn't have attack buffs, but in a proper self 1v1, you wouldn't have attack buffs. Now, what you do need to notice is that my charm just died, and that's kind of important because I just got ganked again. And so, both times I got ganked, it was like, oh gosh, this is a really inopportune time. But when I was playing, didn't actually notice that my charm died. So I just kept fighting, like, nah, whatever, whatever. And I know that Sin is really squishy, so I think here I get another 28k hit, boom, pop the nerves, and this time he can't get out of range, get wrecked. But anyways, I was just like, I didn't know my charm was dead, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go back and keep fighting the BM, blah 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 blah. And one thing you'll notice is in this strategy, the whole point is I'm too lazy. Like I'm that lazy of a person that I was like, I'm not gonna fight the BM with buffs. I just don't want to. So I'm putting empowered vigor on myself to make it doubly hard to kill me because I'm white voodoo empowered. Like, well, you have to have some serious deeps to kill through that. But anyways, and then I just go back to spamming, and you'll notice like I'm not even taking that damage because I think one problem with this BM, I've noticed it in both 1v1s and group PKs, he spends so much time actually CCing that he doesn't do damage. And I think that's a lot of BMs play like that. And here, as you can see, like I would have charm ticked like, I don't know, 5 seconds ago if I had had a charm on. But a lot of BMs, what they'll do is they'll just CC. And the thing is, if you have good gear, BMs actually output a lot of damage, like way more damage than you would think. And so by only CCing, you're hurting your team or yourself in a 1v1 by not abusing that damage. Like, put out the constant damage, because if you're not, like, I can understand that he's building his chi up constantly and continuing to CC for days, but you don't understand. If you put out the damage as well as the CC, yeah, you're going to run low on chi sometimes, but the important thing is that you're going to actually force cooldowns out of me. You notice I fought that BM without an Expel Genie and only died because my charm ran out. It's like, come on. If you can't force expels out of somebody, then you're not doing it right, or the Psychic is just being a douche and staying in white voodoo with empowered vigor on. One or the other, you know. But anyways, that's just kind of some tips out there for you guys if you play BM. If you do damage, don't not do damage as a result. Like, just try to wreck people, because I think BMs hit like third hardest, maybe fourth hardest. Like, because of Goth Crit, none of the magic classes can actually hit harder than anybody else, except for maybe a wizard with like a spark, but that just takes too much setup. Whereas the Sins probably still hit the hardest regardless, and then yeah, all the heavy armors just hit hard. But anyways, back to the Vino 1v1. As you can see, the belief cooldown came out, and I was sort of more prepared for it. Or, not more prepared, but I just kind of expected it. And so I immediately dropped my Apoth to go ham and be like, you don't have Genie? I'm going to kill you right now. But then they dropped Apoth as well. So then it became a trade, 1-for-1, except that they used belief and Apoth, and I just used belief. So here, again, that same combo, Purge into debuff, I immediately went black, and I know that this time there is no belief cooldown to be afraid of, so I just keep my magic defense charms up all the time just in case. And you notice I'm kind of hovering on my Nullify Poison. Normally I have it hotkeyed, but because I'm on a different Genie from normal, it's not on the same hotkey, so I couldn't find it. But anyways, I used the Nullify Poison there to block a counter all-in, but then they just kind of stood there and waited, so I ended up getting hit by the stun anyway. But between Purify proc and getting back into white voodoo, it didn't become very dangerous to me. So at this time, we've traded 2 big cooldowns, 2 of the long-lasting immunity cooldowns. So I'm like, okay, I'm getting pretty safe in terms of all-inning and getting a guaranteed kill out of it, which is what I was going for. But I was trolling, as you can see, and trying to purge still. So anyways, going all in, I have diminished vigor blocked because I used Tide Spirit earlier and wasn't able to cancel my diminished vigor when they had their Apoth or one of their cooldowns up. So fortunately I didn't have it, but I also didn't need it because frankly that Vino is just bad. And it's funny because they're like, oh, I hit you 36k, and I was like, yeah, you hit me 36k when I was doing a quest and you purged me and amped me and put on a fizz debuff and all that. It's like, yeah, in an ideal setup, you know, just about every class in the game can spike somebody, but to basically fight 1v1, I don't know, 4 or 5 times in a row and get killed every single time, or, you know, and just not even improve, I think that's kind of a sign that this Vino really does not understand. They really just cash up their gear and then is like, whatever. Oh, and the best thing is you'll notice that in pretty much every fight except for the fight where I got the purge, this is fighting against a fully buffed Vino who even without any buffs has higher stats than me straight up. Like I did the Eye of Observation or whatever, and it's like in every stat except Spirit, they have higher stats than me. And the Spirit difference isn't massive, you know, it's not like 500 difference, it's like maybe 100 difference. So here again, they believed, and I dropped my APOF instantly. I was like, yeah, I've seen this one before. And so I just all in and immediately wrecked them. And you'll notice in a series of 1v1s, if they continually get shorter and shorter and shorter and the same person keeps winning, that's just that the one side is probably not adapting to the situation very well at all. So anyways, guys, I got ganked again. Surprise, surprise. But that's the conclusion of all the serious 1v1s, or semi-serious, since I was clearly messing around and didn't have a charm for one of them. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and leave questions if you got them in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.